stop. Before you spend 30,000 pounds on your next family car, there's something the dealerships don't want you knowing. 3 buttons. That's all it takes. 3 buttons that separate a mediocre family SUV from one that'll make your daily commute feel like you're floating on clouds. And here's the twisted part. Most people walk right past them, choosing the wrong car, and then spending the next 7 years regretting it. Here's the truth about family SUVs that nobody talks about. We spend more time in our cars than we do in our kitchens. Think about that for a second. Your car isn't just transportation anymore. It's your office during traffic jams. It's your kids' entertainment center on long journeys. It's your mobile storage unit. It's where you have those deep conversations with your teenager, because somehow they open up more when you're both staring at the road ahead. Yet most people spend more time researching their next phone than their next car. That ends today, because what I'm about to walk you through isn't just a tour of a facelifted SUV. This is a masterclass in understanding what actually matters when you're choosing a vehicle you'll live with for years. And trust me, there's a plot twist coming that even surprised me, and I've been doing this for 15 years. Now I need to be honest with you up front. This vehicle just went through what the industry calls a facelift. Sounds impressive, right? But here's the thing about facelifts. They can either be genuinely useful updates, or they can be nothing more than expensive makeup. New lipstick on the same face. The question we're really asking today is simple. Did they actually improve anything that matters, or did they just change some lights and call it a day? Because I've seen both. I've seen manufacturers spend millions updating all the wrong things while ignoring the stuff that actually affects your daily life. So that's what we're investigating today. And I promise you, the answer isn't what you'd expect. Let's start with what you see first, because first impressions matter, but maybe not in the way you think. Walk up to this vehicle and you'll notice the lights look different. The grille is bigger. There's some new plastic cladding along the sides. Fancy new wheel designs. At first glance you might think, okay, they've done some work here. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is your first lesson in smart car buying. Are these changes actually functional, or are they just visual? Because there's a massive difference. A bigger grille might look aggressive and modern, but does it improve cooling? New lights might look sleek, but are they actually brighter or more efficient? Those side panels might look rugged, but do they protect against stone chips better than before? Here's the fascinating part. The designers were clearly told to make this look fresh and modern, to align it with their newer electric vehicles. You can see the family resemblance now with their EV range. Smart move from a branding perspective. But, and this is crucial, they didn't change the fundamental shape. They didn't mess with the dimensions. They didn't alter the wheelbase or the overall proportions. Why does that matter? Because it tells you something important about their priorities. They weren't trying to fix problems. They were updating a formula that already works. That's actually reassuring. But it also means that if you're expecting a revolutionary transformation on the outside, you're going to be disappointed. This is evolution, not revolution. The question is that what you actually need? Most people, if they're honest, just need something that looks presentable and does the job. This does both. But we're just getting started, because what's hidden behind these doors is where things get really interesting. Open the boot. Go ahead. What do you see? Looks pretty standard, right? Decent amount of space. Nothing revolutionary. This is where most reviews would just tell you the numbers and move on. 500 and something liters depending on which engine you choose. But here's what they won't tell you. Here's the secret that separates people who actually use their cars from people who just drive them. Look down. See that floor? That's not just a boot floor. That's a decision tree, because you can adjust it, raise it up, and you get a completely flat loading area with hidden storage underneath. Perfect for keeping your jump leads, de-icer, and all that emergency stuff out of sight. Lower it down, and suddenly you've got significantly more vertical space. Now you can fit taller items without them sticking out. But wait, there's more. And this is where it gets clever. See these levers at the back? Most cars make you walk around to the rear doors, open them, find the release catches, and manually fold each seat down. It's annoying. It's time-consuming, especially when it's pouring rain and you just picked up that flat-pack furniture that absolutely has to fit. These levers change everything. One pull, and the seat drops flat. You can configure this boot in seconds without getting wet, without climbing inside, without that awkward lean-over stretch that hurts your back. Why isn't every car designed like this? I honestly don't know. But here's the kicker, and this is what made me stop and think. They kept this exact system from the previous model. They didn't change it. And that's actually brilliant. Because when something works this well, when it solves a real problem this elegantly, you don't mess with it. You see, good design isn't about constant change. It's about getting it right and then having the confidence to leave it alone. Here's something else. Those rear seats fold in a 40-20-40 split. Sounds technical, but it's genius in practice. Most rivals give you 60-40. That means you can drop 2/3 of the seat or 1/3, but that's it. This car lets you drop the left seat, the right seat, or just the middle seat independently. Why does that matter? Picture this. You've got 2 kids in car seats on the outer seats. You need to transport something long, like skis or timber. With a 60-40 split, you can't do it without removing a car seat. With this setup, you just drop the middle seat, slide your long items through, and both kids stay secured. That's not just a feature. That's thoughtful engineering that someone actually tested with real families. And it's these little details that add up to the difference between a car you tolerate and a car you actually appreciate. Now close that boot and open the rear door. Slide into the back seat. This is where things get really interesting because this is where most manufacturers completely drop the ball. They spend all their money making the front seats comfortable and luxurious because that's where the journalists sit during reviews, but the back, that's an afterthought. Just throw some padding on a bench and call it done. Not here, not even close. First thing you'll notice, there's actually legroom back here. Not just theoretical legroom where someone who's 5'2" might fit, real legroom. More than you'd get in their main rival, which costs more money. Your knees aren't jammed in the front seat. You can actually cross your legs. The windows are big and positioned high so you don't feel like you're sitting in a cave. Natural light pours in. You can see out without craning your neck. All good so far, right? But here's where it gets absolutely wild, and this is the feature I mentioned at the start. The one that changes everything. Reach down beside the seat. Feel that lever? Pull it. The backrest reclines. Stop for a second and think about what that means. In the cheapest version of this car, the one that families on a budget will actually buy, you get reclining rear seats. Do you know how rare that is in this price range, in this class? That's almost unheard of. Most cars make you jump up to the luxury trim level to get that feature. Some don't offer it at all. Why does it matter? Because cars aren't just for short trips anymore. You're taking long motorway journeys to visit family. You're doing road trips. Your kids are in the back for hours at a time. The ability to lean back, to find a comfortable position, to actually relax instead of sitting bolt upright like you're in a waiting room, that's the difference between arriving refreshed and arriving exhausted. And there's another angle here that's subtle but important. These seats recline, which means they're built on rails with proper adjustment mechanisms. That costs money. That takes engineering effort. The manufacturer could have saved themselves a significant amount by just fixing the backrests at one angle like everyone else does. But they didn't. They invested in making the rear passengers comfortable. That tells you something about their priorities. That tells you they actually care about the whole package, not just the bits that show up in photographs. Now, is everything perfect back here? No. The door cards are mostly hard plastic. They feel cheap if you run your hand across them. The armrests are padded, but not generously. You can tell they saved money on materials. But here's the thing. Would you rather have expensive feeling plastics on the door, or would you rather have seats that actually recline? I know what I'd choose. They spent their budget on functionality over luxury finishes, and for a family car, that's absolutely the right call. Now slide into the driver's seat. Close the door. This is your office. This is where you'll spend hundreds of hours a year. This is where the facelift actually shows up, and this is where we need to talk about something controversial. Steering wheels. Stay with me on this because it matters more than you think. Look at this wheel. It's got a flat bottom, 2 spokes instead of 3. It's clearly been borrowed from their electric vehicle lineup. Looks modern, looks sporty, but here's what actually matters. Those buttons and controls on the wheel feel absolutely solid. They're not flimsy, they're not loose. When you press them, they click with a satisfying precision that tells you they're built to last. And there's a new button right on the wheel for cycling through drive modes.